What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Discord Friday, and we could call today Discord Dairy, Discord Perishable. We got a lot of perishable products we're going to be looking at today. Not often we get to look at these. We're usually looking at freezer or dry goods. So with that being said, guys, if you want to join Discord and you want your pictures to be on a future Friday, go ahead and post your pictures over there. Or you could even private message them to me. You want to subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up. And if you guys want to help support the channel by donating to Venmo, it's much appreciated. So let's get on to the first picture. All right, so like I said, we got some dairy pictures we're going to go over. It's not often we get to go over dairy pictures because I am not in the dairy warehouse anymore. I'm down in dry goods. So these little skinny ones down here, they're like long skinny ones. I like to keep them in the middle. No problem where we have them. Overall, your palette looks good. It's not the greatest, but it's not going anywhere either. I mean, we got straight columns. You can tie this stuff in. This is the front of our palette, so it's a little bit weaker. I like that we got these cases coming in the back because I always tell you it's better to have a strong back than a strong front. And our back is not only stronger by putting these cases this way, but it's also got a slight lean coming in, and that's what we want. We want leans coming in. We don't want them going out. This is just a matter from looking at this is that you just straight column stacked. And I mean, it is what it is. If it works for you, do it. If this is, and we took the opportunity to tie these two columns in by just doing this right here. So, I mean, like I said, not the way I would build, but I like it. We got a column, and we took the opportunity to just lock these two corners in because then we stack cases on top of this case. It's just going to emphasize the weight that's coming down on both of these columns to keep them in place. So I like that. And even this little lip right here coming onto this column. Even though it's a little slant, but the fact that we got just a little bit of weight on here is giving us opportunity to tie in these two columns, even though it's a little bit. But sometimes that's all it takes for your palette not to fall over. And other than that, I think the next picture is yours as well. So the back palette, once again, I like it. I think it looks good. You got your back, same thing. You got your back cases facing towards the front of the palette, and you got that lean coming in. So I got no problem with what you're doing. I can't see these cases on their side, so I don't know what they are. But it's a start. To me, by looking at this, you're a newer selector. And if you are a newer selector, I think you're off to a good start. So keep up the good work, keep watching the channel, and keep getting some tips from us, and you'll be building a lot better than this in quicker times. All right, these next two palettes are very well done. Once again, not exactly how I would do it. I don't know what this case is on its side down here, but I like how this is how I start my stuff too, guys. Case is pointing in right from the front of my jack. Same concept, case is pointing back. We want our back to be strong. Nice tie-ins. I mean, we got this whole palette's tied in. I'm not a fan of this. So new selectors, I promise you, now this is higher up the palette, so it's not that big of a deal. But when you get these big, long boxes, your only thought should be corner. Having these big boxes tie in a corner is priceless. Now, I'm not talking to you, whoever posted this picture, because you have your system and you're doing great. But my theory is these long boxes, I use them on a corner. If I got two of them like you do here, now picture two of these side by side on this back corner, tying in this case to this case. That's how I look at big, long cases. He did it back here too, he or she. I don't know who posted this. Same concept. I face them in. I always pick a corner. We do have a column going straight up here. If we would have took the opportunity to possibly just try to tie something in here, we probably had right here. We had the opportunity right here, and we got some more of those cases. So this case here, if we would have just right back, always long boxes. I'm looking to tie in a corner, but other than that, you're perfect. Like I said, not exactly the way I do it, but you build really good palettes, so keep it up. Let's get on to the next one. So we got a produce, and I posted this because, guys, when you have all open boxes, there's not much you can do about it. We got a big hole here. Leave it go. All right. I'll see people take blueberries, stick them in sideways, and try to fill those in. Guys, the clamshells that are inside these cases will fall right out and just fall all over the place. If you have holes like this, when you have all open boxes, leave it the hell alone. You do not need to force stuff in these holes. Just leave it alone. We got a slip sheet up here, which is honestly not a bad idea because of this hole right here. So we're tying in this column to this column by using the slip sheet. So great job on utilization on the slip sheet, and but just a perfectly well done pallet. Guys, do not force stuff in the holes on pallets when you have all open cases. This one here, I love. All right, we got a simplistic build on the front, all open cases. We call them stacked it. These big wide boxes, you can easily call them stacked. There's no need to try to tie these cases in. The pallet is not going anywhere, especially after you wrap it. Now let's look at the back pallet. We got 5, 10, 15, we got 20, 25 potatoes. And guys, what do you notice? Every single top is facing in. There is no top of any bag facing out. Potatoes especially. I tell you, I do this with all bags, but potatoes especially. These bags will be popped open. So imagine like this right here. Top facing out, and then bag pops open. Then you start losing the bags inside the bag. All right, you start losing the smaller potato bags, and now you get a weak corner and your whole corner dips and you drop your pallet, even though it's beautiful looking. So keeping the tops of these bags facing in is perfect. We got that nice tied in base. See guys, we double stacked, so we 5 block too high. Why? Because you can. You don't have to, it's an open box. You don't have to hurry up and try to tie this in. This person built this absolutely perfect. Let's go on to the next picture. This one here, nice dairy pallet. See guys, we're using plastic. It seems like a lot of you guys have to use plastic, but we're spacing cases out. We're minimizing the gaps. You know, this case here probably could have been slid over a little bit, not the end of the world. Actually, probably not, because we wanted our craft singles to sit on it. So they wanted enough of the case to be sitting on, the craft singles to be sitting on it. So I see what you did. And then we got a nice tie-in from here. Case up on its side, not a big deal. Looks like a cheese probably. And there's not an astronomical amount of weight on it. So this case here, it looks like, so what I would have done is this case would have been upright right here, and I would have dropped this smaller case down. And then I would have turned the coffee mate and kept it right here. I see what you're doing. So let's do that again. This case here that looks like it's supposed to be upright, I would have put it right here. I would have dropped the yo plate down, and then I would have took my coffee mate, turned it, and sat it right on top of the yo plate. Or vice versa, have the coffee mate down and then put the yo plate on top of it. And that would have been able to fill in this middle better. I like what you did though. You got the coffee mate, it's leaning, so you offset it by putting this up here just so this column isn't rocking too much. So you could either did what I just said, or you could have turned this or even pushed this over and slid this. Are they 2 separate cases? Nah, that might be that one case that looks like it's 2 separate cases. If they are 2 separate cases, you could take the one and slide it over. But that might be that box that looks like it's 2 separate cases, but it's not, but I'm not sure. But other than that, you're still building a very nice pallet. You got the concept down. All right, next one here. Once again, it's a smaller pallet, but very well done, very well executed. We got our buckets that it looks like our bucket might be just a little lower than the coffee mate, so that's why we got our coffee mate on the corner. Nice big long case to tie it in. High corners, low inside. Kept our corners pretty even here. Very nicely done. And then the minute we get the opportunity to tie it in, we tie it in. I like this, the Sunny D, these open boxes of Sunny D. I keep them on the front of my jack so they're up against the mast of the jack, and I don't have to worry about anything compromising my pallet. Just simplistically done. Guys, I truly believe dairy products is the easiest to stack. I truly do. I think they're the easiest to stack. We got another produce pallet here, back pallet. I don't know if this is your completion pallet, but guys, new selectors, watch your corners. You don't want small cases on the corners. You want big, strong corners. So whatever this big case is in the middle, I probably would have had that on my corner in this case in the middle. But if you're done, you're done. You're throwing cases on just to be completed. Keep all of our open boxes together, guys. This is how you stack this produce stuff. You keep all your open boxes together. It looks like this grapes sort of started leaning in. It started dipping in depending on what we stacked on. Sometimes you get that, guys. You get a big box, open box, and then you get these smaller grapes and you stack them on, and then you get a lean going. But they did the right thing up here. They brought their cases back out again. So even though these cases are sticking way out past this part, I bet you it's in line with the bottom of the pallet. So honestly, great looking pallet. Keep up the good work. All right, this next one, yeah, it's a mess. I mean, we got a lot going on here. So guys, I tell you, if you use broken wood, you should still utilize that wood like it's still there. So I would not keep the cases though going in this direction. All right, you want the least amount of case hanging into the gap. So that would be turning the cases so they're facing back. So I would have faced every single one of my cases back. So just end is hanging in the gap and not a whole entire side of it. You know, I hope you guys understand that. So I would have changed the block on the bottom, stacked it a little bit differently, spaced it out. If I needed the slip sheet, I would still utilize the slip sheet. Because look, these butters are actually pretty darn close to being in line. So this is, I mean, you got about at least 3 inches. That's how far back off of this pallet we started. And remember, guys, broken wood, you always want to utilize it like the wood's still there, but you want to turn those cases and have the least amount hanging off. We're not using our pallet back here. And then this is one reason why I said I hate slip sheets, is because you get the false, you know, usually you go to the end of the slip sheet, they even go back even further. So this is just all a matter of not utilizing that perimeter of that pallet the whole way up. All right, imaginary lines the whole way up, because honestly, the base is fine. That's all it is. I mean, you got a lot of slippery cases that you could easily column stacked on all of this stuff and been done with it. This is just keeping like cases together. If they would have just stuck to the basics. So to me, this is a brand new selector. And if they would have just stuck to the basics, they would have a very easy pallet to build, and they just made this a nightmare that they did not have to. All right, guys, and the last picture I want to look at is not a dairy product, but I wanted to show it because, you know, I'm sure I see it all the time in the warehouse, so I'm sure you guys see this all the time, this lean. What causes the lean? All right, and 9 times out of 10, it's your strong middle with a weak corner. That's what's causing the lean. All right, so we worried too much about putting cases like this in this part of the pallet, and you forced yourself to have a small corner. If your cases, and I'm going to say this until I'm freaking dead, if you point your corners in, this does not happen. All right. And this is also why people drop their pallets all the time, because they get this column, and if it's not wrapped when they go around the corner, just the slightest pressure is going to knock their pallet over. So, but your corner down here is very nicely done. I like the way you started your corner down here. I mean, this isn't bad, but it's just these bigger cases should have been over here. This case should have been on a corner, and this case should have been on a corner. And it's just, that's all it is. It's just having a weak corner with a strong middle. You know, that's basically all that is. We want these cases pointing in with our small cases in the middle of the pallet. All right, guys, that's it for Discord Friday. If you guys want to be on a future Discord Friday, like I said, that link for Discord is in the description below. It's free, always going to be free. Come over there, join the warehouse community, post your pictures, and I will put you on a future Friday. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.